Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for Asphalt 9 in association, of course, with Lamborghini and Gameloft. This is the Lamborghini Essenza SCV12 challenge, and we're going to find out who is the fastest driver on both Android and, of course, iOS. Of course, fantastic stuff for these drivers. Let's explain you exactly how this format is going to work. To start with, of course, it's going to be a double elimination tournament. So we're going to be getting straight into the competition. And what does that mean? Well, we're going to be starting things off in the semifinals with best of 3 competition. And when we reach the finals, it's going to be a best of 7. However, the driver that comes through the top bracket, the upper bracket, or winner's bracket, if you were, which has got many names, they will have a one-track advantage. So it gives them that one-track advantage. So obviously you want to be going through as the straight-out winner. So let's have a look at exactly what drivers we're going to be having today. Starting things out, I think we're on to the iOS to start with. So we're going to be going into this. And a lot of names that you guys will recognize in here. There's no doubt about it. From some champions from time gone by. Now, I'm not exactly sure how I say, is it a Mo or a Moog's name? I don't know. Apologies if I have butchered your name because I haven't covered your racing before. But obviously we know Nilo, former RPM man. Alex, of course, these guys have raced each other multiple times. Alex has been in multiple finals. And Stanix as well coming into this one. I don't know whether he's still pro Stanix, but he used to be. And, of course, he was the Asphalt 9 2020 champion. So, meanwhile, Nilo obviously winning out the ESO Mobile Challenge in spring as well. So, you know, an absolute stacked competition. There's no doubt about it. Some of these drivers absolutely have delivered across Asphalt 9 Legends and, of course, years gone by in certainly the terms of, say, RPM Alex, who's been around for forever, as far as I can tell. So, without further ado, let's get into the brackets. Let's show you exactly who is facing each other, and we'll get the racing action underway. As you can see, Stanix will be up against Amo, and Nilo versus Alex. I mean, do they ever not face each other in an upper bracket semi-final? I don't know. I think I've covered this for a long time now, and it's always been Nilo versus Alex at some time or another. So really interested to see how this one could play out and how they're going to go. So without further ado, let's get the racing action underway. As you can see, it will all about upper brackets. You're going to have that lower bracket, so a lot of racing action to be played out today. So starting out in the semi-final, it will be Amo up against Stanix. That will be the first race of the day, so really excited to see how this is going to go. So immediately straight into it, as you can see, Stanix with a good start gets himself a quick and early lead, and that is going to help out for him. Maybe Amo don't have the job, but he's got himself a lead now, so Stanix a bit of trailing to do here. We are, of course, over in the frozen route of the Himalayas. If you're just interested to see exactly what track variant we are on, I think most of you guys will know that by now, certainly. But Amo's got a lot of work to try and stay ahead of Stanix. Stanix, the former 2020 champion, but you know, that's all years gone by now, you know, through the era of COVID. But at the moment, Amo is the man that will take himself the first victory in this best of 3. Some very quick action there and a very quick start from Amo. Didn't make any mistakes, and obviously something we see when you're obviously going through these races is you do sometimes make the occasional mistake, because you're not just doing a time trial. You know, you're having to constantly race and you're up against somebody, so it's literally a one take or done. Let's get the second track on the way. We're going to be moving over to San Francisco next, and that is going to be the Downtown Rise variant, to see how it can work out in this one. Obviously, Stanix now one track down, Amo with a very, very quick start, and it's going to be a lot of presence to see whether he can come back. So, San Francisco. I was about to say the city never sleeps, but that's kind of New York. I don't know. The city of hills, the city of It's not City of Angels. I don't actually know what was San Francisco's slogan. They all have slogans, don't they, in America? But either way, they got the Golden Gate Bridge, and that is a wipeout from Amo, and that is going to cost him dearly. Oh no, not what he needed. And this is what I was talking about. It's literally one take or done. When you're in this, it's not like you can sit with the time trials and keep getting it working. And there's also, by the way, if you're unaware of this, one thing you have to look out for that you never ever need to worry about in time trials, that is the chase helicopter. You can hit that in multiplayer if you're not careful. If you're coming from behind, you can actually clip it, and it will wipe you out. But I tell you what, Amo's doing a very good job at trying to catch up here, but you can see Stanic's pretty much gone and dusted at the moment. There is a lot of chances for wipeouts on this. Obviously, you can see there's a lot of jumps catching a lot of the corners there into the second lap and trying to get things going. But Stanic's looking pretty good now as he keeps his lead. This is where Amo wiped out the first time, just clipping that building. Stanix does not make that mistake, so he manages to sweep through cleanly. Amo's got a lot of work to do. He nearly wiped out again, but I guess he is chasing, so he's got to take those risks, he's got to take those gambles. But Stanix just needs to play it safe here. He knows his compatriot managed to go down, but Stanix with some serious work, and he takes it really cautiously. That jump there, actually Amo is doing a lot of catching here. He is gaining. That jump there, and you can see he's going for 360, making sure he can get the shockwave boost. Almost went into the train there. Very tight from Amo, but he is throwing everything he's got to try and catch up on this one. He's got still vision of Stanix in the distance, but Stanix is playing it safe. He's not taking any risks. He's not taking any gambles. He's even skipping the jump there, so he's not even going for that. So he's really just trying to keep it casual, and he will take himself victory here. So 1-1, all tied up in this best of three. That's what we like to see, an actual bit of competition. So fantastic start from Amo, but now Stanix gets himself back in this one. So let's move on to the third track. We'll be going over to Shanghai next. That's going to be the Shen City variant. All tied up at one apiece. Remember, it's not done or dusted. They will go down to a lower bracket if they lose this race, and then the upper bracket, of course, into the finals, the upper bracket finals, I should say, not the grand finals, if the win. So let's see who's going to come out on top here in Shanghai. Good start from Stanix this time around, but Amo has managed to still get the edge and stay in the lead ever so slightly at the moment. Amo both taking the same path, following the same track, as you would expect with these guys, kind of time trialed the way here, and in this tense competition, this one very, very close. Stanix following the back end. You can see both going for the spin, but Stanix slightly on the inside there, gets himself the lead. He's got to be careful that Amo could have slammed him out there under the barrier, chose not to, trying to keep the racing as clean as possible. Stanix just gets caught out by the boost of Amo there, and you can see manages to get himself the lead. Both taking the ramp. Amo's boost is way higher, and that's why you see Stanix going for that 360, trying to get the spin, trying to get that boost up there. Is he going to go for the double nitro? Looks like he is. As he tries to keep in there, but now into the second lap, Stanix realizes this is danger time. Amo with the lead, not making too many mistakes, looking pretty good for this one. Very short laps at the moment, both getting the boost, getting a decent spin on there. Amo will take the second, as well the shockwave coming out from Stanix there, trying to get onto the back of Amo. Has got close, but Amo's going to burn it. Everybody burning the nitro to keep it down. They have to try and keep it as clean as they can. They're both risk the 360 before the corner there, but at the moment Amo is hanging on by the skin of his teeth. Stanix charging him down. Oh no, Stanix just a slight bit of rub on the building there. That's just lost him a little bit of ground on Amagi, and that Amagi, I'm giving him new names. I'm going to call him Amiga next and see if I can really pull it back. But Amo is absolutely nailing this one. Perfect racing from him in the end there. Stanix did what he could to try and catch up, but it will be Amo that will come out on top and progress in this one. Fantastic racing to start things off here. No doubt about it. What an absolute epic race to get straight into it. So let's move on to the next semi-final. We know this battle. It is RPM Alex versus Nilo. These guys have raced each other so many times within Asphalt 9 Legends and for years gone by as well. Former teammates many moons ago back in RPM when Nilo was there. You know, they absolutely know each other's racing style really well. It does mean we're going to be starting off back in Himalayas, but we're not going to be on frozen route this time. We're going to go for a different variant to keep things fresh, and it means we're going into dipping down. So let's get that on your screens. So, as you see, Amog will go down, Stanix down to the lower bracket, and Nilo and Alex, of course, is up next. And as I mentioned, if you do come from the upper bracket, you have that one race advantage. Can be huge when you get there because, of course, we're looking at a best of 7. So a lot of racing action, best of 3s, meanwhile, here in the upper bracket and lower brackets. So let's move on. As I say, Alex, historical driver, but in all honesty, he's kind of fell away a little bit towards the end of the... I'm not going to say the end of his career. That's a bit harsh because he's still in the semi-finals. I would say, the fact is I haven't seen him in a final. It used to be that we'd see Alex in the final all the time, but Nilo has been tipping him the last year. So let's see how this one plays out because Nilo, he did beat him and knock him out in the ESL Mobile Challenge earlier on in the spring. So you know what? We'll see whether he does it. He did it in the fall as well. He did it in the fall. So yes, so there's a bit of history there. Nilo definitely coming into this one as big favourite. As I say, Himalayas will be the first track. Let's get it on your screens. So starting things off strong. Nilo just with the smallest of edge. Both want that right path, and that forced Alex. He couldn't go high. It forced him low and immediately put him in the barrier. And that may well be it because Nilo is not a man that makes too many mistakes. And Alex has got a hell of a lot of work to try and catch up on this one. And Nilo both going for the same jump. When you start off like that side by side, and Nilo had that smallest fraction of a margin. I feel like we're getting into full Hamilton Verstappen territory here of like who was ahead of who when he went into cops. I don't know, but as it was here in the Himalayas, it's definitely going to be RPM Alex that's trailing on this one, trying to ride the road as much as he can. He's doing what he can to catch up, but as you can see, Nilo on the left side is really not making too many mistakes. Shockwave comes out from Alex to try and keep himself boosted. Second one again, Nilo does the same just to make sure he stays ahead. He's not taking his eye off the prize, that's for sure. With the finals awaiting, Nilo into his second lap, and you can see how far back Alex is now as he goes over the line. There is a long gap there, and this being the same jump that claimed Alex the first time around. He knew it was kind of in trouble the second he was down low. And Nilo is absolutely rocketing ahead now. Yes, Alex is doing just about as best he can, but that is sometimes the way it is in Asphalt 9. You can get punished in the head-to-head, and it's not something that you'll often come up against in, obviously, time trial. You certainly make a mistake, it's your own fault, but in the head-to-head, which these guys have done a lot of, you have to be so careful, and a wipeout generally would cost you. We did have a couple of comebacks. I think it was Nilo made a few mistakes last time out when I covered him, and there was a comeback chance, and I remember Alex coming very close on the Caribbean track last time these guys raced, and it ended up being head-to-head as they got to the line. But as you can see, Nilo smashing this race way ahead after Alex gets wiped out at the start. So solid start from Nilo. Just that head-to-head collision right at the start of the track separating this one. Not really a lot that Alex could do about that one. So let's move on. Second track coming up will be into San Francisco once again. It's going to be the City by the Bay. I guess that's their slogan, right? City by the Bay. Let's get it on your screens. So let's see if they can start off better this time out. This time Alex on the... Well, he's on the left side of Nilo. Has got himself a slight lead here as Nilo just gets edged out in the opening corners. That could be big here. Alex trailing this one, remember, as they will ride the jumps. That was very tight, but look at Nilo building up that huge boost. Hits the shockwave. Is it going to be enough to catch and pass Alex? No. Alex has managed to build enough boost up now. They both hit the shockwave and immediately go for it over the pier. And this has got some dangerous ground to cover here. That's a nice spin. Oh, he landed on top of Alex. Nilo with just about the perfect maneuver. maneuver on that 360. I was about to say they've got to be careful as they go over the Golden Gate, because that can happen. That just happened to Alex there as you're chasing it. We've seen them wipe out so many times, but that was all about the absolute cutthroatness of Nilo coming out with the 360, landing on top of Alex. And I'm pretty sure Alex has just simply quit out and said, I'm done, because he is gone from this one, knowing that Nilo absolutely had his number. As I was saying, former teammates, I'm not too sure how much love is lost between these two drivers right now, because Nilo absolutely did him like a kipper in both races. Wow, that was brutal. Brutal. Right here, that's where... I mean, Nilo hits the 360 just like he would before. I don't think it was anything actual, aimed at him, but simple case. Oh, he goes for the 360 shockwave as well. He's not playing it cautious. He won't know, of course. He doesn't know that Alex has quit out of this one. He's just going to still be racing to the best of his abilities, keeping that shockwave going. You can see Nilo absolutely nailing the track as well, not making any mistakes. And Nilo will go through into that final upper bracket match off. It does mean Alex will drop down to the lower bracket. He's not done and dusted yet. So, but yeah, a quick 2-0 from Nilo and an absolute brutal race on the City by the Bay, the San Francisco setup. Let's have a look at the brackets just to nail that in. So Amog's going to be up against Nilo in the upper bracket final. And now it means we'll have Alex versus Stanix in the lower bracket final as well. So we're going to move on to the upper bracket. That's where we're going to go first. As far as I'm aware, I'm just going to double check to make sure we do have that coming through. Yes, it will be. We're going to get straight into the finals of the upper bracket. So it's going to be Nilo up against Amog. Let's get it underway, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be starting things off. We're going over to Rome. Rome is where we'll go, and it is going to be the type of stream, so it's going to be a relatively tight, twisty track. Rome is always one that tends to deliver in terms of racing terms, because you can make a lot of mistakes there. Nilo almost connecting with the bridge there as he came to, or the tunnel, I should say, technically. Very tight. Amog hot on his heels there, but Nilo's still holding the lead. It's going to be close racing, I feel, between these two. Amog certainly taking down Stanix. That is no easy job as well. And Nilo still with the smallest of margins. Both taking an identical path this time around. Holding the boost. A quick double boost coming out from Amog there. But Nilo held it for the shockwave. So he uses that shockwave. Amog did manage to get the shockwave up as well. Both still taking identical paths. I wouldn't expect them to vary too much. This is going to be maybe down to a small mistake. Both taking the right-hand side. And as I say, those small mistakes could vary. Amog was certainly close to it. Nilo seemed to be caught in two minds of which direction he wanted to go. He wipes out, and that may well be enough to give Amog this race. Stows into the second lap, and you can see just how far back Nilo is as he goes over the line in the air, pirouetting. But as I mentioned, we've seen a lot of accidents happen in Rome. This is one track that can absolutely claim you quite easily. A very technical track with a lot of chances to wipe out there. Amog at the moment still with a really strong lead. Continuing through, keeping that shock wave down as well. Making sure the boost is very much on. Nilo doing what he can to chase, but as you can see from Nilo's side, you know, that little number one is a long way in the distance, and Nilo knows this one may well be done. And, well, I mean, would you say unforced error? I guess no. He was being chased through hard by Amog, but he was in the lead. It wasn't a case of Amog had anything to do with it. Simply Nilo wiping himself out. I'm not going to say an unforced error, though, because certainly an error that was caught out by hard racing, no doubt about it there. But Amog will take it. Fantastic stuff. Goes one race up against Nilo. You knew this was going to be a tough final, and, you know, they were racing neck and neck throughout there on Rome. So, Rome goes the way of Amog. The next track will be over in Nevada. We'll see where that's going to happen. That's going to be on the curve. Let's get that on your screens and see if Amog can take it in two, or whether Nilo will have a chance to come back. Good close start from both. Amo having to avoid the car early on. Which gives Nilo that advantage, just like he had in Rome. Just keeping himself. He's got to be careful. He's got to be trying to be as careful as he can. Don't wipe yourself out. And there's again, just like in Rome, a lot of chances for that on this track. You can see both taking the identical routes at the moment in terms of jumping. Amo's got the smallest catch-up going on here. Has he got enough boost? I don't think so. Goes through a quick double nitro tap there as he tries to keep on him, but Nilo doing identical. This car handles very well the Lamborghini Essenza, and you can see just how well they handled that corner. Nilo still, he's trying to be so reserved with his boost, I would say, is probably the best way I can say, but he knows that Amog is close, and Amog very close to being taken out there. Came close to that barrier, nearly catching the truck as well. Now, using that shock wave a little earlier than Nilo, keeps Nilo ahead, just answering, but look at this, neck and neck into lap 2. This is the racing that we're looking for. This is more like it. Now, Amodra's drifting a little far, and Nilo wiping out. You saw Amog was struggling with it, but Nilo just went a little too far. And just like in Rome, it's Nilo that gets taken out, this time by the pillar. Oh, it's absolutely gutting to see, because these two drivers were neck and neck throughout that entire lap. It was beautiful to watch the mirrored driving that they were both showing. But that looks like it may well be Amo taking it in 2 here. Unless he makes a big mistake, which I very much doubt, because he's going to be aware of the advantage he has now. He can try and play it as safe as he likes. He knows he's got the gap. And you can see on Nilo's screen just how far back he is. Mo drops down, gets the boost, takes the ramp, gets the second boost as well into the tighter corners here, but it shouldn't be a problem for him boosting around that one, using the rails to just keep himself around. And there's not really any risk for Amog anymore. It should be simple over the line, wide track, and it will be Amog taking it in 2. He will move through to the grand finals, and Nilo, oh man, I got a feeling we might be seeing a repeat here, because Nilo was ahead in both races there, but lost out again, clipping into that pillar. Let's have a look at the brackets just to confirm what is happening there. So Nilo's going to drop down. He will race the winner of Alex versus Stanix down in the lower bracket. Amo going into the final. And remember, Amo's now got a 1 race advantage in that, which will be a best of 7 finals as well. Incredible stuff. So let's drop down to the lower bracket. Let's talk about this one. Stanix, as I say, he was the 2020 Asphalt 9 champion, coming into this one with a tough ask. A tough ask, no doubt about it. Going down to Amog, he has a lot of work to do here. We're going into San Francisco to start things off. It will be the roller coaster rise layout, and he's up against RPM Alex. Let's get it on your screens. So straight into it, early start. Ooh, a little nudge from Stanix there, but it's Alex that will retain the lead as he gets a nice clip. Doesn't go too high. You've got to be very careful. That was tight from both drivers on the entrance there. Both nearly wiping it out. As I say, this is the City by the Rise layout. That's an extra spin from Stanix. My God, he takes the ramp jumping spinning as well. But it does give him that extra boost advantage you can see that he will have over Alex. Is why he's gained that ground. Alex, meanwhile, holding that. Gets himself up to the shockwave, as does Stanix. Both now through the tunnel. Stanix still trailing this one, but we've seen tight racing before, and it's not always that bad to be behind. Sometimes you'll see the man in front make a mistake. Alex, at the moment, though, got to try and play it as quick as he can, but also as cautious as he dares as they go into the second lap. Still Alex holding that lead, but it is a tight one now. Down the hill, over the ramp. Stanix misses the jump there. That's going to cost him some boost, but in terms of time, you are technically quicker going down, but it just doesn't give you that boost, which is why he's going for that extra 360 there. Alex looking still very good, though, as he had that shockwave, before going into the jumps. Now Stanix is going to hit that spin, which will give him a fair bit more boost than Alex. Alex chose to play it safe there. He's trying to play a bit cautious here. We'll go for the shockwave now. Both will have that as they go into the ramp and spin. And at the moment, looking very good for Alex to hold on to this one. Stanix starting to pull a couple of risks out of field here. You can see he's starting to risk it coming in, doing a few more moves that Alex is not daring to do. Let's see whether that's going to cost him. Alex holding the boost, goes up to it, gets the shockwave off. Both, so does Stanix. Alex coming in at the moment, looking good, coming towards the end of the lap, gets himself the double boost. Stanix still coming in, but Alex goes over the line. And he will get himself the first track done. Fantastic stuff there in the lower brackets. And yeah, so Alex with the lead going into what will be Nevada next. So he held the lead from the very beginning. It wasn't like Stanix pressured him, but I would say safe and secure driving this time from Alex. Obviously, you know, he made mistakes last time he was on San Francisco against Nilo. So Nevada next, over to Desert Run. We'll see whether Stanix can make a comeback. So decent start. Alex just with the smallest of margins in the lead. Does manage to hit that boost as well. That's a massive advantage over Stanix now. You can see the gap that that's already created. So Stanix once again chasing this one. As they're going to continue through. Gotta be so careful on some of these jumps. Stanix gaining some ground this time. On Alex with a small clip on the car there. Might cost him a little bit of time. Both holding the corner well. This Lamborghini Essenza SCV12 handling those corners very, very well. Of course, has the flatline speed as well. Managing to keep it low. We just saw this track, of course, a moment ago. Slight different variant, but oh, Alex, that was tight. That was tight. I thought he was going to lose it on the truck there, but he managed to hang on. Stanix as well, hot on his heels, so any mistake from Alex would catch him off guard, but Stanix is keeping him true all the way through. Now, lap 2 underway. Not too big a gap, just a small one here. Got to be careful of the pillars. This is where we saw Nilo getting wiped out. They do manage to avoid it. Second one comes out, both staying well away from it. This time Stanix with a bit of a hard knock into the side of it, but both clear of the tunnel. So safety now. And Stanix takes a really nice spin and boost there. But Alex is keeping him very much in check. You can see just saving that boost every time he gets close, just hitting that shockwave or the double nitro, seeing which one he needs to keep ahead. Alex around. Stanix has gained ground, there's no doubt about it. Stanix has got a lot closer here. Just takes the clip of the bridge there. Now Stanix aimed for that, it seems. Just trying to make sure he got that little bit extra. You can see the boost advantage that Stanix has at the moment, but is it going to be enough? He's gaining onto Alex now. Alex into the hard corner. Stanix had to avoid the truck, which Alex did not, and that gives Alex a huge lead, and that's going to surely put him over the line now. He should be home and dry. You saw Stanix taking the risk, but it just put him slightly out of position of the traffic, and Alex goes over the line, the winner of the lower bracket, and Stanix, the 2020 Asphalt 9 champion, out in the lower bracket semi-finals. That is going to hurt, no doubt about it. But this is a tough, tough competition. Let's make no bounds about it. But it means we're going to have a rematch. Let's have a look at the brackets just to confirm now, because that means that Stanix is out. And, of course, we have a rematch, don't we, of the upper bracket semi-finals. Nilo up against Alex once again. Last time out, this was a pretty sordid affair. Nilo taking out Alex in San Francisco, you know, landing on top of him, the 360 on top, bam, Alex goes out, and then he gets wiped out at the Golden Gate Bridge as well, and that was all she wrote for Alex. So Osaka will be the first track, so let's get straight into this, the lower bracket finals, effectively, to see who will be facing off against the Moog in the final. Nilo came out on top in the first time round. Let's see if you can do it again. So, Nanoir Tower Tour, sorry, is the setup. We've covered this track many times, and we know it's just a little bit tight and twisty at the start, and this is where, you know, time can be gained or lost. And at the moment, it is Nilo doing the gaining now. Remember, Alex obviously led all the way against Stanix, but Nilo, oh, that was tight from Alex, nearly getting taken out. You can see they're connecting with another, and somehow Nilo comes out on top of that. I don't know, they were both kind of in the air. It looks like Nilo's car was a little more settled than Alex's, and it always comes close. And I tell you what, these two drivers in a head-to-head, there is going to be contact, no doubt about it. They have collided with each other again, and now Alex on the charge. Can he chase down Nilo? I am not sure. This is a tough track to try and gain time on. And, well, Nilo, I mean, he made mistakes against Amog a moment ago in the upper bracket finals, but here in the lower bracket final, I'm not too sure. Second lap underway, and you can see how much of a lead he has now as Alex goes over the line. It's a good couple of seconds, isn't it, as they go through the tight, twisty start area. This time, of course, without challenge. Nilo missing that split. That's where the dangers could come from, one of those splits. And you got to hope that maybe Nilo hits a pillar or something for any Alex fans out there. He's, as I say, been racing for so long without reward, if anything. He's always been there or thereabouts over the last few years. But it's always been either a Stanix or Nilo or somebody just pipping him. And it seems, certainly with it throughout 2021, every time he's come up against Nilo, Nilo has come out on top. There is a bit of a history starting to build here. And Alex may well just be losing that slight mental edge, but, you know, these guys, they are connecting. Oh, I tell you what, Nilo taking no risks throughout there, was he? 360 all the way, making sure he kept that boost up. He knows how much of a threat Alex can be. But it will be Nilo that takes himself the first win on Nanwa Tour there on Osaka. So Nilo, man, wiping out Alex again. I'm not sure it was really Nilo's fault this time. He didn't 360 chopper land on his head like happened last time. So Shanghai will be the next track. It's all about whether Alex can make a comeback here or whether Nilo will come out on top and take it a quick 2-0 for a rematch versus Omar. Let's get it on your screens. So it's Pudong Rise we're going into for Shanghai. And Nilo once again with that smallest lead. Alex got to be so careful. Both going for the spin there, trying to be as defensive as they can, build up that boost. Alex with, oh, look at that cheeky little boost before it. He goes all the way over the top. Not sure if that's quite going to be enough, but Nilo getting very close, Alex. That was definitely a very different route that paid off for Alex there, and he almost managed to catch on him. You can see just connecting a little bit, both going for a different split this time as well. Alex goes right, Nilo goes left. Let's see if he's going to come out on top here. This is akin to the Caribbean race that they did before, and Nilo just comes slicing in front of Alex there, almost wiping his nose out. And now Nilo with the smallest of margins. This is the racing that we wanted to see, both connecting with the bus there, but oh no! Oh no, I think that's a disconnect from Alex. Oh, you don't want to have that happen when it was such tight racing. Oh, that is horrific. Oh, no, no, no. That means Nilo will be taking this one in a quick 2-0. And Alex with the disconnect. That is heartbreak for what was looking to be a really entertaining second matchup here. And Nilo will go through uncontested, and he will be through to face Amog in the final in, well, what will be a best of 7. Of course, with Amog having that one track lead going into that one. But Nilo, you know, a deserved win in the first race, and he was in the lead at least when Alex had that disconnect, although Alex was right on his back, and you can see he's going for the shortcut, the left side shortcut there. Was the target that Alex wanted, but yeah, Nilo literally passing Alex there and realizing, oh, okay, he is completely gone. And now Nilo knows he doesn't need to risk anything. And over the line he goes to conclude the lap. So Nilo taking victory in the lower bracket finals by Alex's disconnect. Man, I feel for you. I feel for you. RPM Alex there. A veteran of the scene going down. And once again, missing out the final to Nilo. So let's have a look at the brackets just to confirm the route that these have all taken. So a rematch from the upper bracket finals. Amog versus Nilo. Amog taking down Nilo in that one in a 2-0. What was actually pretty tight racing. And if you remember, Nilo was leading both times in those races. So that leads us up to a grand final. So Alex will be fourth place. Alex will be third place, sorry. Stanix will be fourth place. And now we're going to find out who is going to come out on top. Will it be Amog or will it be Nilo? Let's get it underway. It is a best of 7. We're starting off on Shanghai. It's going to be the Pearl of the Orient track setup to start with. And remember, Amog comes into this with a 1-track lead. So he already has a lead. But as happened multiple times, Nilo has the lead. He has the starts down, doesn't he, to an art form. He had the leads down against Amog in the upper bracket. He had the leads down against Alex every single time they raced each other. Nilo really has got that start absolutely down to a T. Now it's a case of staying true. Last time they raced each other, it was Nilo. Unforced errors. Well, I mean, maybe pressure certainly on the back of him, but unforced errors. There was no contact from Amog last time out. Nilo certainly up against it here, though. He's 1 track down, remember, but if he could start off strong here, that would be an absolute boost. Put them on level terms with, this best of 7, plenty of racing to go. This track being far more open as well helps out as they go into the second lap. Looking good for Nilo so far. Not too many places where you can have those big crashes like on the likes of, say, Rome or something like that we saw earlier on, as well as San Francisco. Shanghai does tend to be a bit more open. Use the power of those Lamborghini Essenza to get around, and it also corners pretty well around here. No slowdown. You can see they're pretty much boosting the whole way. Once again, Nilo taking that 360. Amog just keeping it in check the whole way. He's pretty much been on his tailpipe all the way around, keeping that boost set up, and Nilo just saving that shockwave. There we go, into the ramp. Looking good so far. Nilo looking to try and take this first race, and it will level things up 1 apiece. As I say, not too many places where mistakes can be made, so a flat-out race down to the line. A wide open 6-lane road. You can't hope for more there. And Nilo will go over the line, which means we are now level terms. 1-1 in terms of tracks in this best of 7. First to 4, remember. First to 4. Next track up will be going over to the Himalayas. I was talking about a wide open track where you can have problems on the Himalayas. Let's get that on your screens. So it's going to be the cliffhanger to start with. And this is a track where mistakes absolutely can be made and may well be made. Nilo with another fantastic start. Ooh, tricky though. Goes into the ditch a bit there. That's going to give Amog a little chance to try and catch up to him. Goes into the snow, but recovers well. It does put Amog right onto his rear wing, and it is a pretty mighty rear wing on these Lamborghinis, isn't it? Oh! I thought Amog was going to land on top of Nilo there. Wasn't quite to be. Nilo managing to survive. Now that would have wiped out Nilo. Oh, a second time out. Amog comes down, but he drops down onto the low road while Nilo stays on the high road. Now, flat out, neck and neck. Amog with the smallest of margins, but Nilo took a much larger jump there, got the full 360 rotation as well, gave him a huge boost advantage. You can see what that means on the screens as Nilo now running away with this one, and Amog at the moment looking at the grand final slipping out of his fingers. He came into this with 1 track lead. He's got to hope that Nilo makes more mistakes like he did in the upper bracket finals, because Amog at the moment is trailing and Nilo is looking absolutely on it. And just as I was thinking, I was looking at Amog and thinking he seems to be indecision. He took the low road before, and this time he fancied the high road, but the indecision caught him off guard. He wipes out, and unless Nilo makes a massive mistake here, this is looking like a 2-1 lead for Nilo. A fantastic start for him, leading from the beginning as well. And he is not making a mistake here, it seems, like he did in the upper bracket finals. A bit of a revenge path for him, no doubt about it, as he hits the boosts in the air there. Beautiful shockwave running through, and he is absolutely riding this one to perfection. Nilo delivering where he failed in the upper bracket final. So a 2-1 lead, seemingly, as he goes flying over the line. And now Nilo with the lead. Impressive stuff. Could he make the turnaround here? Coming from the lower bracket, Amog, if you remember that upper bracket final, both times Nilo led. You know, it was his loss, effectively, that led to him going down to lower bracket and having to face Alex for a second time. It's all about the start, it feels. Nevada up next as we go over to the long run variant. Let's get that on your screens. Can Amog pull it back to 2-2? Best of 7, as I pointed out. And this time, oh no, Nilo with the lead again. But Amog, I thought he was going to have the slight boost to be able to get alongside him. They both go for separate jumps there. A slightly better angle and exit from Nilo gives him a much better boost. You can see already in that boost counter, it's massively in favor of Nilo. Now hits that shockwave as he goes over the bridge. And that gives him the lead. And once again, Amog is chasing this one. But this is a track that has had mistakes before, and Nilo has made them. So, Amog trying to ride the side of the tunnel, whereas Nilo preferring to stay down a little bit lower there. Gives him a smoother exit. Nilo lose out in terms of boost. No going for that 360 around it. We may see that in the second lap. If Amog is still behind, he may actually go for the 360 there. This is the iOS battle in the grand finals. Absolutely delivering so far, though Amog has got a lot of work to do on Nilo. A track they are very well versed on. That's where Alex made the mistake in previous races. Nobody hitting the bridge there, but you saw Amog taking the different path there, choosing to use the shockwave and go straight, while Nilo was building boost and going for that 360 in the air. Got the spin through. This time Amog does take that left-hand jump, and he keeps, well, it worked out for him, didn't he? Got that a little bit closer to Nilo. Nilo going for the double nitro there, while Amog saves up and goes for the shockwave, and that gives him even more closer. Look how tight this is now as they come in towards the tunnel section. Oh, the shockwave coming out from Nilo. That was tight. Almost hit the pillow. Amog forced to go on the left-hand side, having to take some avoiding action. And now you can see Nilo hitting that shockwave. Amog immediately left behind. Nilo saved that one up perfectly to give him the lead. And you can see Amog, he knows he's having to go for the spins. He's trying to get that boost, but it's not paying off. It is a wide open track ahead of them, and Nilo knows this one may well be in the bag. Give him a 3-1 lead. Hits the shockwave once again. Over the jump. Comes down towards the line. Over the jump again and continues the boost in. Another shockwave. A shockwave after shockwave. Nilo absolutely nailing this one. A 360 shockwave styling over the line. Amog will come over, but it's Nilo that comes out on top again. 3-1. He now leads on match point effectively here, or championship point if you were. Oh my word, Nilo, the comeback king now. Osaka is the next track. Will it be the final track? Will Amog be able to come back from this one? It's been Nilo that's led from the start every time. Let's get it on your screens. It's another great start from Nilo. This time, it's all down to Amog. He has to get this chase done, or it's over. the Lamborghini Essenza SCV12 Challenge Champion could well be Nilo. If he comes out on top in this, he is leading right now. As they don't go for the split, he goes straight through the middle, and that's quite an advantage that Nilo gained there already. Very tight technical circuit. Lots of room for errors in this track. Now, taking the same path on the right-hand side. Same jump, same everything so far. Nilo choosing to go for the spin, Amog not. He gains time by not spinning, but loses out on boost. It's a tactical choice to maybe try and keep the pressure onto Nilo and make him make mistakes, because you can. If you go for those spins, it can cost you. Look at the spin from Nilo there! Oh my god, they both wiped out! I thought that was the chance. They hit each other on the ramp, and oh, Nilo lands just in front. And a Mo comes in. Oh my word, that was the moment, that was the chance. Nilo was spiraling out of control, but a Mo caught in the same loop, and both make an error. And nothing is gained from that, as they're both continuing to be neck and neck. But more importantly, it's Nilo in the lead. A Mo goes over to the right-hand side, comes out behind Nilo, who went down through the middle. Both hitting the jump, hitting the boost. Shockwave comes out, slight double boost from Mo to try and keep on him, but that Shockwave will give Nilo the smallest advantage here as they go into the jump. And look at the boost difference. It is going to be a Shockwave for Nilo, but Mo's not quite there. He had to double boost it instead, and that's going to give once again Nilo the lead, the advantage that he needs as he comes towards the line. And this is looking like Nilo will take it. He is going to be the Lamborghini Essenza SCV12 Challenge Champion. Nilo, with the revenge from the upper bracket finals, comes out on top in the grand finals. What a fantastic rise, and what a fantastic year it has been for Nilo, picking yet another title up. Impressive stuff by that man. I spoke to him back in just a few months ago, and he was talking about how well things were going, but my god, it's getting better and better for him, isn't it? 2021 has been the year of Nilo, no doubt about it, on iOS. Wow. Whew. What a race, what a performance. Just to recap exactly like how that's all played out, I mean, like, wow, I'm actually lost for words. Nilo led every single race throughout the entirety of the bracket. Any race that he lost was his own making. He knows how to start these races, how to get the lead, and how to hold on to that lead. He lost out, obviously, in the upper bracket by making those two mistakes. But the comeback against Alex, yes, first race was brutal, no doubt about it. Second race, Alex disconnected, which was a bit of a shame. But, oh, wow, what a finals, and what a win from him. 4-1 in the end, the actual finals for Nilo there, coming out on top. Incredible stuff. We're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we are going to get over towards the Android side of things. Of course, this was all over on the iOS. Nilo, the champion. Who will be next for Android? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we are back. It is going to be the Asphalt 9 Lamborghini Essenza SCV12 challenge. We've just crowned ourselves an iOS champion. Nilo has that crown in his head, and now we're looking towards Android to see who is going to come out on top of that. We've talked about the storied history that iOS holds. Well, Android is no different. It's some champions throughout here. Jägermeister, the winner of the ESL Mobile Challenge Fall, it's about a month ago, I think now. Dark Hyper coming into this one. Haven't covered Dark Hyper too much. And then, of course, RPM, well, they're always ever present, aren't they, in and around finals time. Sukti and Onio both have victories themselves. Sukti, the winner of the spring of the ESL Mobile Challenge as well. And I think Onio, I may be mistaken, but I think he was the 2020 champion. I would have to double fact check that one. That one's coming kind of off the top of my brain. And there's maybe a bit of smooth brain going on here. Let's have a look at the brackets for this. So who is up against who? So of course, RPM, Onio, and Sukti face each other in the upper bracket finals. Why would they not? And that means Dark Hyper and Jägermeister will be up against each other as well. So not too surprising. The RPM boys, they always end up facing one another. And this time out, it's in the upper bracket finals. As you can see, it is a lower bracket once again, just as it was for iOS. The exact same setup, which will decide out who's going to be fourth, third, second, and first, of course. And that's it's a quick and easy way of making sure we know. And don't forget, going into the grand finals, which will be a best of 7, best of 3 throughout, best of 7 in the grand finals, we will, of course, be going into that with a one-track lead for the finalists. So let's get into the first race. Let's get straight down to it. We're going to be going into Nevada to start things off. And of course, it's going to be Onio versus Sukti. The battle of RPM. Who's going to come out on top? So Onio on the left-hand side and Sukti with the lead on the right-hand side. These guys have raced each other so many times and probably practiced against each other leading up to this championship as well. So both well aware of one another's moves, and well, being that they are teammates, you would expect it to be relatively clean, wouldn't you? That's what we're thinking here. Sukti, though, with a pretty decent lead here on Desert Run, has a pretty large edge over him already, so it's simply a case of will Sukti make a mistake. It is, as you can see, a pretty open track. We've just covered this one a few times already. That truck was the cause of a mistake earlier on. Onio did gain time there, by the way. That certainly visually looked like he gained a bit of time. I'm not sure whether he actually did. Gets that quick double nitro. Also forces out the spin, so he managed to get an extra bit of boost in there before going into the tunnel. But as you can see, Sukti quite a large margin still for him. And more importantly, not connecting with anything in the tunnel, which is really where, you know, mistakes could be made and lost. And speaking of mistakes, Onio chose to stick around the outside throughout that, which lost out a lot of boost for him on Sukti. And that's gives Sukti a huge lead now. He is gone. He is down the track and gone. And I've got to be honest, I don't see him having any problems around these last few corners, because these drivers, you know, really the only thing that's going to catch them out is generally the splits. You know, they're going to hit the corners pretty perfectly. So Sukti pretty much has this one wrapped up. Down low, hit the jump, hit the boost, missed the boost actually. Missed the boost on the right hand side, which can sometimes catch you off. And you can see just how large a margin it is now, as there is a good 3 to 4 second gap at the moment forming for Sukti, who is dominating this first race here in Nevada. As Sukti goes over the line, a huge lead margin now. As I say, it's that was close to 4 or 5 second lead there that Sukti ended up with, and no mistakes being made by either driver. Just Onio simply not on it in that first track. So Sukti with a massive margin gained. Let's see how this plays out. It is best of 3, as I say. They're going to go over to Shanghai next, a track that has got chance for potential mistakes, but we'll see. Let's get it on. It's going to be Shen City to start with. And this time we'll see whether Onio can get himself a lead. No, Sukti with that slight lead. To be fair, Onio was on the outside, so kind of a given, that lead, really. But as I say, this one, yes, it's a pretty open track, but there are areas that mistakes can absolutely be made. And at the moment, Onio just drifting a little wide on that one. Sukti taking a much tighter line on the apex. This time, though, look at that. You saw Sukti diving off to the left. He chose to take a different line. Let's see if it pays off for him. He's going to come out. Yes, he is ahead still. And he actually has gained a little bit on there. So Sukti's choice to go hard on the brakes and take it to the left turn has paid off in the end, getting that extra boost. And now Onio is back on the chase once again. A tough chase against your teammate as they go through the second lap. See whether Sukti sticks to the same path or whether Onio is able to gain anything at the moment. It does seem that Onio just not quite on it at the moment, is he? Sukti seems to have the better of him. Let's see. The diverting path in a moment. Sukti goes left. Onio chooses to go left with him this time. And they both hit the same boost there. But there was a shockwave from Onio, so he did gain a little bit of time. You can see what that means, but he's running out of boost, whereas Sukti is still sitting on that. Goes for the double nitro tap before the jump. Gets himself that extra speed required. Onio gaining time slowly but surely, but I just think they're going to run out of track, and they will. Over the line goes Sukti. He will move through to the upper bracket finals, and Sukti will go down to the lower bracket semi-finals. I just didn't feel like Onio was quite there in that race, did it? Sukti just sort of had the lead the whole way through. No mistakes made by either driver. Let's have a look at the bracket just to confirm the placements. So Sukti will be facing the winner of both Dark Hyper and Jägermeister, and the loser will fall down to face Onio in that lower bracket semi-finals. So let's move on to that next race, that next best of 3 between Jägermeister and Dark Hyper. Dark Hyper coming to this one. You know, Jägermeister, as I say, the champion just a month ago of the ESL Mobile Challenge Fall Finals. So fantastic work from him. Nevada will be the first track we go to, and it's going to be the Desert Drift setup. Let's get it underway. So, separating the cars this time, and it is Dark Hyper that got himself just the smallest of leads. You saw Jägermeister trying to turn in to cut him off, but Dark Hyper managed to get it. This is where Alex wiped himself out in the iOS. And that's Jägermeister with a slightly better jump and lead as he goes sliding into the lead and took a real large margin for the lead there as well. Dark Hyper hitting that boost knowing he made a mistake, but Jägermeister taking that with ease, it seemed there, as they both hit the pirouette and spin into the boost. Yeah, Dark Hyper coming down, not quite able to connect to him, but he has got a better boost. Jägermeister holding on to that shockwave and could have used it a few times through there, which is where Dark Hyper's getting some of that time up. Jägermeister being very cautious through this one, no doubt about it, and losing out time on Dark Hyper, who gained, and he goes for the 360. I was talking about that in the previous race with Nilo and Alex, whether you can go for the 360 out of that tunnel. You can get it, and you can get that extra boost, and Dark Hyper went for it. That is a nice risk. I love to see drivers on that are chasing going for that. You can see it neck and neck now going into the second lap. Dark Hyper very much gaining all the ground he lost onto Jägermeister as he comes through. Jägermeister a little squirrely there as they came down to land, and that's why Dark Hyper goes through, just not really connected. Dark Hyper went low though and still manages to hold on, but Jägermeister now in the lead as they go around the corner. The shockwave available for Jägermeister. He gets himself that extra boost, pushing himself in the lead once again, and it's Dark Hyper to chase as they both go for the spin. Jägermeister with the shockwave as well. As my voice breaks down because this racing action is absolutely delivering. Dark Hyper gets the shockwave. Okay, now through the tunnels. Jägermeister took this so carefully last time out, but he can't risk it this time with Dark Hyper on his backside. They go for the shockwave around the edge. Double Nitro from Dark Hyper goes for the spin. He does get an extra boost here. Is it going to be enough to get past Jägermeister? That's the question. Jägermeister's all out. Dark Hyper still keeping the boost running. It's just about coming up to the line. It's going to be so close between the two. Shockwave comes out from Dark Hyper. He's on the inside line, but now the boost comes through and Jägermeister goes over the line. That is what I call an upper bracket semi-final, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely neck and neck stuff, but it's Jägermeister that will take the first track. My word, I am going to absolutely lose my voice if they can keep this racing action up. Whew. Wow. We have ourselves a real contender on our hands in Dark Hyper. He was pushing Jägermeister all the way. Next up, though, we go over to Shanghai. It's going to be the Pudong Rise, and we'll see who can come out on top. So, solid start from Dark Hyper this time around. And Jägermeister this time on the chase. He was in the first race, got himself a better corner exit. This time you can see both taking risks, both going for those 360s. It will slow you down a little bit if you don't land correctly, which is what actually happened to Jägermeister there. Despite the boost advantage you will gain from it. So it is risky. We just saw this track a moment ago, of course, and both taking the same route this time around. It was well, I mean, it was Shanghai, but we had Shen City a moment ago. This is obviously Pudong Rise, but it still has certain variants within the track, within the race, that are similar. At the moment, though, Dark Hyper has himself an impressive lead over Jägermeister. Jägermeister chasing this one. And this is a track that's very tricky to gain on. Because, as I say, you know, as you can see, it is a huge, wide track. You know, 6-7 lanes, highways that you get in Shanghai. And that is giving Dark Hyper, well, the freedom of the city, I guess we could say. As he is currently living the high life. Very much away from Jägermeister. Jägermeister doing everything he can to keep the boost going and try and chase, but not too many opportunities. You can see he's even going for those 360 spins just on the straight, just trying to get that extra bit of shockwave boost to come through, but it doesn't look like it's the case, and Dark Hyper's got this one in the bag unless he really makes an absolute howler somewhere along the line, but I don't see it happening. Taking it very cautiously. Jägermeister did gain a lot of ground there because Dark Hyper actually chose to not go for some of those spins. So definitely taking it slowly. Taking a different route here at the end, but still over the line goes Dark Hyper. And a much more calmer race, you know, saving the voice. Thank you very much, guys. Keeping my voice in there. So it is all square, one apiece. We actually have a best of three properly on our hands now. And it does mean we're going to go over to Rome as well, which I love to see. Rome always delivers a cracking race. It's going to be the Ancient Rome variant of this track. And with it all on the line, winner will go through to face Sukti in that upper bracket finals. Let's see how this one's going to play out. Winner into the upper bracket, lower down to face Onio, which is unbelievable, really. And that's where we stand. And this is a much tighter circuit, as I say, as they go over into that first lap. Dark Hyper with the lead, getting things started well. But there's so much room for errors. It's a good job I don't have to talk for a living, isn't it? It's definitely a struggle today, it seems. And that's only because the racing action has been delivering. Jägermeister looking like he followed a really nice path there. Gained a bit of time onto Dark Hyper. But Dark Hyper currently leading as they come through. Looking very, very solid. Very clean lines. Loving the apexes that they are taking as well. Just about smoothing out these corners. You can tell the hours of practice that has gone into this as they go over the line once again. Into this very tight section. Just a small clip there from Jägermeister on the side, both getting double boosted. And that's really the problem, right? There's not too much areas where they can get these big spin extra shockwave boosts that they'd be craving to try and gain time and catch up. There's both drivers using the shockwave. Jägermeister once again on it, but met tooth and nail throughout by Dark Hyper. Jaeger definitely takes a better line over that jump. That's where he's gained ground again. Look at this, right on top of Dark Hyper now. Dark Hyper, though, will have the lead as we approach the line, and I don't see Jägermeister being able to catch him here. They're boosting for all their love and might that they can. Everything being thrown at it through the tight section. Just a little rub of the ball, but you can see Jägermeister, oh, just clips the barrier slightly, goes for the 360. It knows it's done. And Dark Hyper over the line, will go through to the upper bracket final. He's going to be facing Sukti, and it's Jägermeister that will fall. The ESL Mobile Challenge fall winner, champion, will fall down to the lower bracket. Incredible stuff. Let's look at those brackets now. So, 2-1 to Dark Hyper as he goes through and faces Sukti now. But it's Onio and Jägermeister that we will be looking at as well in just a moment. Incredible stuff. Let's start out, though, with the upper bracket. So we'll look towards Sukti next up versus Dark Hyper. Dark Hyper coming off the back of what probably would be an adrenaline-filled win, no doubt about it. But both drivers had spectacular starts. Let's get into this one. It's going to be Himalayas to start things off. So the mountain poles is where we go. And it will be Dark Hyper on the inside line. Not a lot Sukti could do about this. Now, both are going to be looking to the right side here. Yeah, you don't want to go high. You want to try and take that as low as you can. Pirouette through. And that's what both drivers were looking for there. And you can see immediately they went for it. This time Sukti, though, just on that inside line. But Dark Hyper with the shockwave, getting a great lead. Built up, both holding onto the boost, both know that they've got to use it to go for that ramp, get as high as they can. And look at Sukti, he got very high, but I don't think it really helped him. Dark Hyper met him toe for toe. And they're both going to hit that shockwave into the ramp to keep the boost as high as they can because they know they can build it back. And Dark Hyper just did it so much smoother there, I feel, than Sukti did. Just really beautiful driving from both of these as they ramp off the edge of the tunnel, taking it perfectly through. And then the track opens up a little bit here. It's a bit of a left and right, but it opens up for the next lap. And away we go once again as they now come down the hill. They're both going to be looking to get to the right-hand side of this jump. Get on the right. Little spin there. Well controlled by both drivers. You can really mess up there if you're not careful. And for Sukti, he is boosting everything he's got to try and gain onto Dark Hyper here. But Dark Hyper, he looks to have this very much in control, doesn't he? Smooth driving from the man at the moment from Fury. As RPM looking to try and get somebody in the final, whether it be Sukti or Onio. Sukti was the one that was chosen as he came out on top 2-0 in his upper bracket semi-finals, but Dark Hyper is just not making a mistake. Now, coming out of this tunnel, this can be where you make a mistake. Let's see, rides it, absolutely nails it. Both of them hitting it pretty much perfectly on, and there's no chance to catch up now. Dark Hyper will not make a mistake. There's just two corners, and then it's over the line for Dark Hyper, and he will be taking the first race here in the Himalayas pretty much with ease overall. Just smooth, solid driving overall. You know, led from the start, didn't look back, and that puts the pressure onto Onio. So, track two. Onto Onio. Sukti, sorry. Onto Sukti. Onio in the lower bracket. He's coming up next. We're over to San Francisco. It's going to be the next track. Will Sukti be able to get some revenge here, or will he go down 2-0? Obviously, the grand finals awaits the winner. Let's get it on your screens. So it's the city by the bay. Obviously, we've seen this track many, many times. It is a track where errors can be made, and Sukti, for the first time in this head-to-head, has got himself just that small lead. Have I given the commentator's curse? No! Because both went for the spin, and it's Dark Hyper that loses out. And Sukti will gain a huge, huge margin. He's still got to be careful. There's a lot of room for mistakes on this track as you go down through this harbour section. There's so many jumps and bumps where you can make mistakes, and Sukti almost made one there as he rides out to the right-hand side, and then he's going to be up and over. Doesn't go for the 360 over the Golden Gate. We may see Dark Hyper going for it. He doesn't. He shockwaves over it instead. Tries to keep that boost alive as he hits the second and third ramp and straight into the fourth. And that's where you can make so many mistakes. If you're not as smooth, you can absolutely make a huge error there. Dark Hyper rode it well, you know, as he goes over the line. But the fact is, he's a long way back from RPM Sukti. Sukti with a huge lead after carrying out what was an assassination going down the hills here. This is where Dark Hyper got wiped out last time out, but it's looking very good for Sukti. Through the port section is where Sukti, if he's going to make a mistake, this is where it will be. Over one ramp, over to the next one, smooth as you like over the Golden Gate, uses the shockwave. Dark Hyper doing the same. Dark Hyper clearly, visibly gaining on Sukti, but I just don't think there's enough laps, enough time to get involved in this one. Sukti takes the final big jump in style, and over the line he goes. We are all square, ladies and gentlemen. Sukti gains revenge? Not really sure. Takes not even first blood. I was about to say first blood, but it's not. I don't even know. He evens up the series. That's what I want. That's the words I'm after. We are all square, one apiece. Who will be in the grand final? Sukti coming back and, well, I wouldn't say he wiped out Dark Hyper, but, you know, they connected. I think that could have been a 50-50. That could have absolutely been a 50-50. Asaka is up next. The decider. Let's see where we're going to go. Who is going to come out on top? Who will be in the grand finals? Sukti on the left. Dark Hyper on the right. Both going for the same jump. And I thought Dark Hyper might get wiped out there as Sukti landed on top of him. They're still pretty much neck and neck. Oh, they're both wrestling for that middle. Neither have separated one another now. If they connect now, it will be someone getting wiped out. Dark Hyper still side by side with Sukti. Both going through the tunnel as well, pretty much side by side, splitting by the pillar. Second pillar, oh, very tight at the moment. But Sukti chose to go for a spin there. Gives him that extra shockwave boost and puts him slightly in the lead of Dark Hyper as they come around the corner. This is an absolute bloodbath of a neck-and-neck race. This is as close as you can make it, no doubt about it. Dark Hyper coming into this one as Sukti comes through the side. Sukti's so close to hitting that pillar. Goes for the spin. That's so dangerous at this time. Dark Hyper realizes the danger. He needs to get more boost. He goes for it as well. Oh, no! Sukti hit the tunnel. Oh, disaster. Absolute disaster. You saw the pressure that both drivers were putting on each other. Dark Hyper wanted to try and keep it as smooth as he could. Sukti realizing the danger of the situation, but oh no, no, no. That's not the way you want to go when it was such tight racing, but it so often is. And that may well have put this contest to bed. Dark Hyper just needs to finish out. You saw it was so tight racing. And I was a little worried that maybe it was going to be contact between the two that would take each other out. But in the end, it was simply taking too much of a risk, too much of a gamble, connecting with the tunnel. Oh, Sukti goes again. It is going to be Dark Hyper, ladies and gentlemen, into the finals. And the question is, can anybody stop him? 2-0 in the upper bracket semi-final. 2-1 here in the upper bracket finals. Sukti, well, he tried, he challenged, that was there, but in the end, it all got very heated, very close, and he went the full lap, didn't it? Just at the end of the first lap where Sukti got wiped out, but they were neck and neck throughout. Fantastic stuff. Let's have a look at the bracket just to confirm that now. So, Dark Hyper into the finals. And now Sukti down in that lower bracket semi-finals, awaiting. Will he be up against his teammate, Onio, who he faced in the upper bracket semi-finals, or will Jägermeister, the Asphalt Mobile Open champion of the fall, come through to face him? This is a bit of an ESL Mobile battle. While we're not on that, because Onio was the champion in the spring, Jägermeister was the champion in the fall. It was Onio that beat Jägermeister in the spring. There we go. Bit of history for you boys out there here on the Android. Incredible stuff. This is, though, a battle to see who's going to be fourth. Incredible stuff. Incredible stuff. Let's get it on your screens. Let's get straight down into the lower brackets. So immediately things will kick off. It is on Nevada long run, and it's Onio with the slower start, something he's actually done very well at in the past, but Jägermeister gets things underway. Had the pleasure of speaking to Jägermeister a couple of times this year. Spring, he said, you know, he was really struggling to find time to practice, to get involved and find the time to get into it, but he's put a lot more work in coming into the fall, which is why we're probably seeing him performing so well. As I say, just a champion a month ago, and may well be on the path to be a champion once again, but he's got to do it from the very bottom. Lose these races and you go out in fourth place. Go through and, well, you're just simply fighting for third place and maybe a chance to be in that finals. And even if you get to the finals, you're going to find yourself a track down, which will be very hard work to do. But Jägermeister certainly challenged Dark Hyper in that final, upper bracket semi-final, sorry. And it's Onio at the moment that is, well, he's chasing. He is gaining ground here. That shockwave was actually saved by Jägermeister a fair bit there. Onio choosing to use it much earlier, which has gave Onio a little bit of ground back. Got himself back onto this one, both just avoiding that car. Now, it will be the left jump for both drivers as Onio makes sure he gets the double spin. And now he gets closer and closer. Jägermeister, is he taking this just a little too carefully, I wonder? Because Onio is visibly getting closer and closer every time they go through a corner, a jump, anything that happens out there. Now, do either of them risk it? Do they go for the 360 on the exit of the tunnel? No. Doesn't look like it for Jaeger. Onio tries to stick with it, and that may well be all it's got. Jaeger goes for the spin. That's going to lose him time, but he'll gain the boost. And that boost wouldn't be essential here as they go through the left and right section. Tight corners, but both will take them to perfection. Onio riding the rail as much as he dares. Jägermeister hits the jump perfectly, and he's going to have that shockwave available in just a moment, but Onio's already burnt it. Onio is gaining time, but is it too little too late? I think so. Jägermeister shockwave over the jump and over the line. Onio did what he could, but it's Jägermeister comes out on top in the first race. Fantastic stuff. As wow. And so, okay, I mean, we could be seeing the spring champion going out fourth place here. He is one track away. And next up is Rome. And Rome is a tough track, no doubt about it. Probably my favorite to cast as well. Let's get straight into it. It's going to be the St. Peter's kickoff this time around on Rome. So is it going to be Jägermeister that will go through? Or is Onio going to fall out into 4th place in what is an absolute stacked tournament? Jägermeister, pretty sure he's in Fury as well, by the way. Both of these drivers, Fury, Dark Hyper, sorry, and Jägermeister. Whereas it's basically Fury versus Onio, RPM, isn't it? But it is Onio at the moment with the lead. Just slight advantage as he chases things down, and Jägermeister with a bit of work to do here. But this is, I mean, I've covered these guys racing so many times, and if memory serves, last time out, it may have been this track layout, it may have been a slightly different variant in Rome, but I do remember a race between these guys where they crashed 2 to 3 times each, and it was a case of who's not going to make a mistake wins. That was close from Onio. Jägermeister gets that boost advantage. He connects! Jägermeister into the barrier. Doesn't put him too far back, though, so he manages to get away with that one. Just a small connection, but you can see he's still very much on the back of Onio. Oh, Onio keeping hold of that lead at the moment, but this is neck and neck. This is for Onio to stay in the tournament here. The Lamborghini Essenza SCV12 Challenge Champion could well be one of these drivers, but not if you go out in 4th place. Oh, the Lamborghinis launching themselves through the air, but it's Jägermeister that actually managed to connect first onto the jump, squeezed out Onio, and for the first time now, Jägermeister holding that lead. Oh, Onio so close to wiping there. My word, I thought he was going to get caught out. You can see the 360 coming out from Jägermeister, just giving him that extra boost. Look at that, he's got a shockwave to go over the ramp with, whereas Onio had nothing. And that gives Jägermeister a huge advantage now. Doesn't choose to go for the second jump, both avoiding it. They could have gone low, but instead choosing to stay up on the high track. Now they drop down low. There's the boost. The shockwave will be available for Jägermeister any second now. Uses it on the jump, and that surely will put him over the line first. No. No. Wow. I mean, Onio so close there, but Jägermeister coming out on top. I got a feel for him. I really do. I got a feel for him because I thought Onio might be able to get it back there just at the end of the race. But what's the difference? It was not even half a second. It was so tight between the two. But it is Jägermeister that comes out in the end. And that means, if we look at the brackets, Onio is out in 4th. That is incredible. And Jägermeister goes through to the lower bracket final to see who will join Dark Hyper in that grand final. Will it be an all Fury finals, or will RPM be able to get some representation in there? Whew. I need a breather, guys. I need a breather. These guys, this racing is absolutely intense. So let's get into the lower bracket final. Sukti really probably going to feel a little aggrieved that he wasn't there. Both of these drivers have had a close challenge versus Dark Hyper, but both of them find themselves in the lower bracket. Who's going to come out on top? Shanghai will be where we start things off. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The lower bracket finals. Jägermeister versus Sukti. Who is going to reach the final to face Dark Hyper? Jägermeister just had, I mean, if he does it, he's going to have to go the full route, isn't he, from that lower bracket. Already faced Dark Hyper in the upper bracket semi-finals. Neck and neck, though. RPM looking to get somebody in the final, of course. Sukti dominating Onio in a quick 2-0. But he was sent down here as well by Dark Hyper. Both looking for revenge in that grand final. Dark Hyper, of course, don't forget, will have a one race advantage as well in that finals. So whoever gets there is going to have their work cut out. At the moment, Jägermeister with the smallest of leads. But that could easily disappear as Sukti almost connected with his back. And this is going to be tight. So you can see both pretty much hitting that double nitro all the way through here. Every bit of boost they get is being used to stay ahead as we go into the second lap. And the thing with Shanghai is that it is such a wide open expanse of a circuit. There's really not too many mistakes made here, so it's all about racing prowess, taking the apex, hitting the perfect line on that corner, taking the jumps just to perfection. Sukti lines himself up really nicely for this corner, by the way. I like that line he went for, and yes, and it gave him quite an advantage, gaining a bit of time, both going for the spin. Oh no, Sukti guts away with it, almost wiped out there, but that gave Jägermeister a huge advantage, and he should be able to finish the race off here in the lead, because that was Sukti just literally try as much as he could. He got very lucky not to be completely wiped out there as his car was going backwards. Not the direction these Lamborghini Essenzias prefer to go in. And I've got to be honest, there is a reverse gear there, but it will certainly cost some. Over the line, we're looking to go, and Jägermeister will be picking up the first race here. But it's a best of 3. It's not over yet. Time for Sukti, and you saw how tight that racing is. I feel we're in for a bit of a belter here, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly cracking action. Osaka will be up next. Let's see how these guys will do. So, this is the Pudong start, with those beautiful trees sitting, flowering. I think they only the spring blossoms, right? There's only the spring they blossom in. We're in winter. They shouldn't be blossoming now. What's going on? Jägermeister doesn't care though, because he's got the lead and he's looking to try and take this 2-0. But as I say, a much tighter circuit this time out than Shanghai. There are mistakes, possibilities within this one. Sukti though looking to drive this absolutely to perfection. Man, that was a risk from Sukti there, going for that spin into the tunnel, just about hit it right, goes for the double spin there. Jägermeister also continuing, just for about 3 or 4 spins to keep the boost up, both neck and neck as they continue round. Just a small mistake from Sukti, but he managed to get away with it, hits that shockwave. Meanwhile, Jägermeister rides it as well, both hitting that shockwave at the same time as they come through on the second lap. There we go, over the line. And now Sukti definitely gained a lot of time there. Oh, side by side, and he passes by in the air. Doesn't connect with the 360. Both going with that spin, but it gives them the boost that they needed. And Sukti with a beautiful overtake there. So often we'd see a collision when they go past each other in midair there, but Sukti simply just left Jägermeister in the dust. Now, can he hold on and make it all square in the series? One apiece. Sukti through the tunnel, didn't risk the spin. If you remember, he took the spin on the first lap there. No reason to risk it now. He's in the lead. Will go for the spins over the jumps, continue it through. Now, Jägermeister didn't. He didn't go for it, which means there'll be less boost for him than Sukti. Sukti's going to keep himself the lead here as they go over the bridge. You can see the difference that means. Sukti almost hitting that shockwave there. Instead goes for the double nitro, but it gives him such a huge advantage over Jägermeister. And Sukti will come over the line. And that is going to be Sukti taking the win. And we are all square, ladies and gentlemen. 1-1 as we go into the final race, which will be on San Francisco. Who will be going into the upper bracket final, the grand final, I should say, not the upper bracket, the grand finals, and who will be going out in third place? This is the decider, Jägermeister or Sukti. Let's get it on your screens. So it will be the downtown rise, and we know what that means. There is a chance for some serious mistakes to be made on this track, but it's RPM Sukti with the lead. Will RPM be represented in that finals, or will Fury be taking it all? Jägermeister looking to try and get in there with Dark Hyper. Sukti at the moment, though, in the lead in what is a very tricky track. Lots of mistakes can happen here, and there is the chase helicopter. I was talking about it earlier on during the iOS matches, and you can, if you're not careful, connect with that helicopter in the air. It can be tricky. It happens. We've seen it happen in these tournaments. Sukti, though, boosting through nicely and looking very good at the moment. Got to make sure he takes this bridge jump well, you can gain and lose a lot of time through that section. But at the moment, Sukti goes through the harbour and up and over, looking very good so far into the second lap. Is it going to be Sukti that will be in that finals? Jägermeister with a fair bit of work to do, but it's Sukti with a much better boost, no doubt about it, as they go up that hillside. Both hitting the shockwave, but Sukti will carry the speed, and Jägermeister at the moment is simply chasing, not really gaining any ground onto Sukti either. Sukti up and over the hills, still looking very good. Jägermeister has seemed to have gained a little bit of ground there, though, through the corners. Now, over the bridge, careful with the train. Lands the 360, absolutely nails it, but look at this. Jägermeister visibly getting closer and closer. Sukti under pressure. Don't know if he realizes it, but you can see Jägermeister now right on his heels as they go through the tight, twisty jump. Now they're going to land it absolutely nailed on. Oh no, Sukti went for the 360 while the shockwave came out of Jägermeister. Shockwave through for Sukti. They're neck and neck, but it's surely going to be Jägermeister over the line. Oh my word, what a finish we just had, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, but it will be Jägermeister that goes through into the finals. But what a finish. Oh no, Sukti went for that 360 spin. If he had not have gone for that spin, I mean, maybe he wouldn't have had the shockwave. I don't know. But I got to feel if he hadn't have gone for that final spin, he just felt the pressure, went for the spin, and you slow down when you take that on the ground. You slow down, and Jägermeister caught up. Wow, what a race. What a race. Let's get the brackets on your screen. Just to confirm, that means that both RPM Onio out in 4th place, Sukti out in 3rd place. And in the grand finals, we have a rematch of the two Fury drivers, Dark Hyper and Jägermeister, now up against each other. Now, Dark Hyper came out on top last time out. He will be going into that race with a 1 race advantage as well. Whew. Whew. Right. Are the drivers ready to go? I think they are. It's going to be San Francisco to start things off as we go into the grand final for the Android here. Let's get it on your screens, ladies and gentlemen. It is Dark Hyper in the white, Jägermeister in the black. And it's Jägermeister that starts things off. But this track is so delicate. If you remember last time they raced here, Dark Hyper got wiped out the way down. Jägermeister goes out to the left side. I don't know if he wanted to do that, whether that was planned, but either way, it worked out. Stays just ahead. Dark Hyper goes for the spin. I think he got a 720 off there as well. That's a really risky spin to go for, but he absolutely makes it count. Now, you're going to go approach up towards the Golden Gate here. Dark Hyper gets himself the lead. Jägermeister went for a bit of an unnecessary spin as they tried to work it through. Up the hill they go. And Jägermeister, ooh, that's a little bit messy there. Dark Hyper, I nearly called him Dark Meister. Maybe he should be the Dark Meister, I don't know. But Dark Hyper just gaining a little bit of momentum there. Look at that. How quick did Dark Hyper just react? He saw Jägermeister coming at him from the side, hit the shockwave immediately, just to see, okay, if you're there, I'm going to wipe you out. If not, I'm going to get the boost ahead of you. But Jägermeister retakes the lead. Now down the hill, got to be so careful with these jumps, with these turns. They both go for the left. No, Dark Hyper chooses to go for the higher road once again. Jägermeister on the low road, came out on head last time. This time, Dark Hyper comes through in the lead. Now they go for the spins. Are they going to risk it on this one? They do. They both go for it. 720 comes out. Both get the same boost, but it is going to be the shockwave coming from Dark Hyper, which will keep him in the lead. Jägermeister holds it. Now he goes for it. A little too early. No, he misses the jump. Jägermeister misses the jump, and that gives Dark Hyper a huge advantage now in this final lap. And you've got to feel that maybe Dark Hyper will take it now. He just needs to get safely over the line, which shouldn't be too hard. There's not too far to go. And Dark Hyper, just comes out on top in this one. But man, do we have a final on our hands here, ladies and gentlemen. That was tight all the way until that one mistake by Jägermeister. But that gives Dark Hyper a 2-0 lead. Remember, because he gets that 1-0 lead coming into this one. So a 2-0 lead. It's a best of 7. 7 races going to be happening throughout this one. We're moving over to Rome, though, next. And we all know what that means. We know there's errors that can happen. It is going to be the capital of the world, and well, that's a fine title. Let's get that on your screens. Jägermeister trailing. It's all going to be about this start. I feel side by side. Jägermeister realized he had to back out of that one or you would have been ditched. Goes for the spin instead. The jump and the spin gives him that extra boost. Now, shockwaves. No, Jägermeister connects with the building. Oh no, you've got that jump. You will sometimes take and you kind of go over the corner of the edge of the building. Oh, and for Jägermeister to catch that. It ain't over yet though. There's a lot of room for errors in this race. Dark Hyper could certainly make a mistake as well. But at the moment, Jägermeister's got to be banking on something to go wrong here. He's going to be taking every trick, everything he can do to try and gain speed, momentum. But I don't think Dark Hyper's in the mood to make any mistakes today. He is looking pretty fluid, isn't he, on that left-hand side. Chooses the middle road in the end. Multiple options to go on this track. And when there's multiple options, it means there's multiple chances for mistakes as well. Into the second lap goes Dark Hyper. Let's see how far back Jägermeister is now. Oh yeah, it's a long way back, isn't it? That's at least 5 seconds, I would say. It really needs to be a huge mistake from Dark Hyper. I just don't think he's going to make it. Dark Hyper goes over that bridge. Let's see if Jägermeister, the jump that caught him out, that building there, if you don't quite catch it right, you will connect with the building and you are done. And you need to get over it, to, especially at this level of play that these drivers are at. You absolutely need to be at peak to deliver. Boost from Jägermeister. Doing what he can, but Dark Hyper's not making mistakes. I think he realizes as well that he isn't really being threatened too badly. And it should be a case of coasting over the line as he approaches it at the end of the second lap. Takes the middle road once again. Left split probably. No, chooses the right split this time and then the left split. That's it. And then comes around the final few bends and across the line. Dark Hyper will take this one in a fairly anticlimactic 3-0 as Jägermeister will just cruise over the line. Realizing wasn't happening this time out. So, it's a championship point. It's a championship point already, ladies and gentlemen, for Dark Hyper. One more race and we're done. We're going over to Nevada. Is Jägermeister going to be able to put up a challenge here? Or has this slipped away from him already? Dark Hyper, absolutely monster in this final so far. Let's get it on your screens. Nevada is up next. So it's the curve we go into. And, well, for Jägermeister, absolutely needs to win. Dark Hyper, he's got space, hasn't he? You know, to be on championship point, 3-0 up in this best of 7 is a huge lead, and the pressure on Jägermeister is enormous. There's no doubt about it. You know, the Lamborghini Essenza SCV12 delivering in performance, but who will be the challenge champion? That is the question at the moment. Dark Hyper looking to put his stamp on this one. Jägermeister, though, with the lead, looking good for it. There are chances for mistakes, and Dark Hyper just choosing to go for it. 720 off the jump there, which Jägermeister didn't. You can see in terms of boost-wise how it helped out, gaining quite a bit of time overall and collecting the boost in air. So Jägermeister still with the lead though, as they drop down onto the lower section, looking for the next boost, the next ramp. Over the line they go into the second lap, riding the edge with that shockwave, collecting as much speed as they can. And well, visibly Dark Hyper definitely getting closer here. We've had some absolute brilliant racing from both of these drivers so far. But Jägermeister at the moment looking to regain something here. He was the ESL Mobile Challenge champion just a month ago. But right now, Dark Hyper is looking to decimate that title here in the Lamborghini Essenza SCV12 Challenge. And Dark Hyper will be a champion, no doubt about it, if he can keep up this performance. Look at this, he's gaining more time onto Jägermeister. You know, he was pretty much in the distance, but with just a lap and a half, they've gained so much time. Look at that, Jägermeister feeling the pressure, goes for the spin, does give him the extra boost, but loses him time as he went for that spin over the jump there. Dark Hyper gaining now, the shockwave comes out. It's going to be neck and neck as they approach the line, but it will be Jägermeister that comes out on top in this race, taking it to 3-1 in the series. Is this the start of the comeback, ladies and gentlemen? Could this be the reverse sweep from Jägermeister? He's got a lot of work to do still, no doubt about it. Next up will be the Himalayas. And, of course, for Dark Hyper, still remains on championship point. Let's get over to the Himalayas. It is always a tough track, no doubt about it. It's going to be the downhill run as well. And this could be where either Dark Hyper comes out as champion or Jägermeister starts his revenge. Let's see. Tough start, no doubt. And it is Dark Hyper with the lead, which is slightly worrying for Jägermeister. Just has to avoid the traffic there. Make sure it doesn't get caught out. Took a 360. I'm not sure by choice there. Nearly got wiped out. You can see he's already starting to risk a few things here, Jägermeister. Gets the shockwave, though, over the jump. That's something that Dark Hyper did not have. Both hitting the shockwave this time out. And you can see how close that's made Jägermeister back to Dark Hyper. Gaining that ground on him at the moment as Dark Hyper continues. Both getting that boost. Both continuing their smooth, fluid motion here through the apex. Taking the left and the right, and now onto the big flat ice as across they go. Oh, Jägermeister taking some. I don't think he gained anything from that. I've got to be honest. That risk looks like he put him out of position on the corner. Still pretty much neck and neck though. Still Dark Hyper with a pretty sizable lead. Jägermeister choosing to take the side of the ramp there as they go into the second lap. It's now or never, Jägermeister. And that's a really nice apex from Dark Hyper. That was some smooth cornering. I don't think Jägermeister's got it in him. He's got to hope, I feel, for Dark Hyper to make an error here. Goes for the spin. Pulls it off. Connects with the car. Not ideal. Just to slow that speed down, but both with the shockwave. That was a bit of an error from Dark Hyper. Didn't exactly exit cleanly there, but Jägermeister, you can see, trying to get that shockwave boost up on the hillside, trying to double boost it as much as he can. Dark Hyper's doing the same. Slightly better boost for Jägermeister as he comes over the ice fields. Has gained ground, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. They are approaching the line here, and Dark Hyper's still very much in the lead. Uses that shockwave. Up and over he goes, and there's not a lot Jägermeister can do here. No room for error for Dark Hyper. Over the jump with the shockwave burning. Jägermeister with the spin. Tries to get what he can, but it's not going to be. And it will be the Lamborghini Essenza SCV12 Challenge Champion, Dark Hyper, who has dominated from the start. What a performance he has had throughout this tournament. Really been unchallenged overall. I don't know if we can look at the brackets because really has been a fantastic run from Dark Hyper. I mean, he's been pressured. He's been pressured, no doubt about it. You know, had to take down Jägermeister 2-1 in the upper bracket semi-finals. Then it was 2-1 over Sukti. You know, he was pressured all the way. Sukti really put some pressure on him there. But then Jägermeister, I just feel he fell a little bit short in the finals when it came down to it. 4-1 in the end, the final score for him. As my voice finally gives out, well, why not? Because we are approaching the end of the show here. So we have our Android champion, which is Dark Hyper from Fury. We have our iOS champion as well. Some magnificent racing overall. You've got to give credit to them. Nilo dominated, no doubt, over on the iOS side, taking down and getting revenge in the finals over Amoga. But Dark Hyper coming out of nowhere. I've not covered him myself, but it's great to see, I wouldn't say new names because he's already represented by Fury, so it just means I haven't covered him in tournaments. He himself has certainly been covered overall. Magnificent racing action. I absolutely love covering Asphalt 9 Legends, no doubt about it. Thank you very much to Lamborghini and, of course, Gameloft for making this happen overall. Congratulations to our two champions. And that is it for us today. We will see you next time. Congrats once again to our champions, Nilo and Dark Hyper. See you again.